So 1990 Volkswagen Vanagon Carat. Carat was a trim level that gave you exclusive colors like Tornado Red, and then it gave you air conditioning, power windows, power door locks, cruise control, basically all the options you could get on a Vanagon. More importantly, it's a slick top. It's a slick top weekender, which means it has the Z-bed, 2 removable rear facing seats, a table, and I sought out a slick top Carat when I was looking for my Vanagon. The reason why is the slick top is significantly lighter than the camper, and at the time I was based in LAX and I was gonna sleep in this in the employee lot, and I wanted to be somewhat under the radar, so I would be less hassled by the airport authority if I was in something that didn't look quite like a camper. The other nice thing you get with the Carat as opposed to a Vanagon Weekender is you get a full width rear bed. So there's no cabinet back there on the side that narrows the bed by about a foot of usable space. So the entire rear bed is the length of the vehicle, the rear bench seat, and that makes it great for both my wife and I could sleep in there with 2 dogs comfortably. There's a glass out respray. Repainted it in the original Tornado Red with the metallic gray trim. The only difference from stock is I went a little bit lighter here with the bumper trim, and that normally is black, and I decided I wanted to keep the gray theme going because there's so much black elsewhere on the vehicle, and I think it turned out just really, really well. You just don't see Vanagons in this condition. You know, they're all kind of been used and enjoyed as they should be, but very few people are willing to put the money and time and energy into bringing one back to this condition, especially one that's not a camper or a synchro. I don't know that I've ever seen a Carat that is as nice cosmetically as this one is right now. So what I'll do is I'll try to focus on some of the imperfections as I can find them. We did new windshield seals, new door seals, new rubber trim here on the gutter rails. We did painted all the bits black. We did new marker lights. We basically spared no expense in the restoration of this car, and it absolutely pains me to sell it. It took me 6 months to find this example. It belonged to a retired guy who lived in Orange County who was a surfer, and the reason that he bought it was so he could go camp down on the beach and catch the dawn wave sets. And then I bought it from him and brought it back to Colorado when I transferred here. So starting at the roof, work my way down. The windshield, no cracks, no significant pitting, excellent condition glass with a very good seal around it. Moving into the seam here, no cracking, no, and this is what you see with vehicles that have been repainted, is that over time this seam filler you'll just see you know, cracks and water can get in. That's something to monitor. Coming down to South African grills with the upgraded halogen headlights. Fantastic upgrade for the Vanagon, not only in looks with the round headlights, but also in output. These headlights are fantastic for a halogen headlight, European spec. It's got smoked markers, both front and rear. This is the original Wolfsburg edition badge. So you can see some crazing there, but I left that, A, because I couldn't find one, and B, because I think it's kind of cool to have something original. Coming down to the front bumper. This was all painted as one piece. So there, you can tell that it was masked, but excellent job overall. And then the black work underneath. There's a little bit of damage here. You can see on both sides actually on the doors, and it's just from the way the door is open making contact there. I may touch that up and maybe put some clear bra on that to prevent that from happening. I'd certainly be open to talking about doing that. Same again on this side right here. Same thing on the Wolfsburg badge on this side. A little bit of crazing in the emblem, but it's original. We put a new antenna in it. All this trim here, this gutter trim is new, along with all new door seals and rubbers. One thing that used to drive me nuts when I would drive this across country, which I've done several times, is this door seal would let quite a lot of wind noise in, and your head is right there, so that would get arduous after 10, 12 hours in the saddle. So this is a new door seal, but because it's new, it takes a little bit of effort to close it and get a good seal on it. So that's what that is. The door is not misaligned or anything like that. It's just the door seal. On the mirror here, there's a little trim piece here that's missing that I've been looking for. You can't really tell. It's not something you notice, but I want to point that out. I may or may not be able to find one of those, and it wouldn't be a big deal to find one and then have it repainted in tornado red. But power mirrors is a very nice function. And then if you've ever owned a Vanagon, one really nice thing about these mirrors themselves is once you get up the very few times, maybe going downhill with a tailwind, when you hit 75 miles an hour, these mirrors do not collapse like the earlier style does. My brother has a Subaru swapped Vanagon, and once you hit 65, 70 miles an hour, the mirrors will actually fold in and move out of position, where these are power mirrors that you don't have to worry about that with. So that's a nice feature that the late model Carats had. Coming down to the wheel, Mercedes wheels, polished with custom Wolfsburg center caps. This was something the previous owner did, and man, they look good. Like nice polished wheels, really pop on the Tornado Red exterior. We put fresh Continental tires on them. Tires are brand new. They have less than 100 miles on them. Door handle. Coming down here, I'll show you the body seams. So we did not replace any of the seam filler, and that's what happens is when people repaint these, if they blast too hard in this seam filler, they remove that original seam filler, which then creates the opportunity for water to leak in over time, and then you get cracks in here in these rusts. And this is something to look for. This Vanagon's a California Vanagon, so it's virtually rust free. It's got nothing other than like some superficial browning on like some of the suspension components that are original, but no body rust anywhere. And then we don't have any of the seam issues of vans that have been repainted. I was very specific to my paint guy to leave that seam filler intact, so you don't have to worry about that down the line. Coming with the rear windows are limo tinted, real dark. It's real nice. It's difficult to see in there, which gives you nice privacy when you're camping. And the other nice thing this has is the fitted interior snap-in curtains, so you can totally black out the inside and have privacy when you're sleeping. Here's the lower trim panel. Moving along to the rear wheel, again, excellent condition. These are my favorite wheels for the Vanagon. They're just the right size, they ride nice, and they just look fantastic. There's a few imperfections you can see here, no curb rash or anything. They show a little bit of their age. They're not perfect, but they're very, very good. And again, it's got the custom Wolfsburg center caps. Moving up, we'll do the rear. We painted all the black work here, all this stuff. And again, I'll get a close-up of this seam. You can see it. This is the area you always want to look for, especially any Vanagon that's lived on the eastern half of the country. Always check these areas thoroughly. And we left all that seam filler intact. Moving around to the rear. Rear window glass is in excellent condition. Wiper arm. Smoked rear tail lights. Very, very nice. upgrade that suits the look and character of the van. That was something that really sold me on the car when I bought it. And then coming down to the rear bumper, there was some evidence of filler in this area, and this part had been repainted, which is part of what led me to that. And I can paint gauge this for you, but structurally it's sound. You know, there's no egregious cut lines or anything, or waves or anything like that. So so I wasn't too concerned about it when I bought it back in 2015. Here's the underneath, tow hooks present and accounted for. I'll work my way forward on the passenger side. Rear air intake, and again, looking at the seam line, this is important. You always want to look at these pieces. Coming back to the rear glass, rear side glass. You know, this is a lifestyle vehicle that deserves to be used and driven, you know, and hopefully it'll stay on the West Coast, or if it goes to the East Coast, it stays, it, you know, only gets subjected to summer usage and is preserved so that it'll last another 30 years. Coming back around to the front, I already pointed that out. Here's the front wheel. And then again, this trim piece underneath the mirror is missing, but it's not obvious. Here's the gap in the door seal, or excuse me, the window seal on the passenger side. And then new door seal here on the passenger side also. I'll do one more walk around, and then we'll pull it into the shade and get some engine bay and interior shots. I love this car. This vehicle has probably made me smile more than any of the other cars that I've had since I've been doing Glen Shelley. Partly because it was my home away from home, but partly because it's just a fun vehicle to drive. It's not fast, it's different than my fast cars. I go ahead and kick it in the right lane, put my feet up and watch the world go by, and all my troubles just fade away. And then wherever we get to go in it is always somewhere fun. And then it's kind of our base camp for adventures. So I'm really sad to see it go. Unfortunately, it does have to go. It's just one of those decisions that stings a lot. So I really hope it goes to a good home.